Hello, welcome back. I want to jump right into it. I want to admit to the world that yes, I was a furry. Recently looking back at my old DeviantArt, it showed a lot of my early furry drawings. So I thought I would go through and redraw and talk about some of my old personas, why I was a furry, maybe why I quit being a furry, how I was rehabilitated, how maybe you can help someone in your family who's a furry. Not that though, I have no idea how to help you there. But anyway, let's just jump into it. I'm gonna look at some of my old personas and then maybe redraw them. And yeah, so starting off, my first persona, or like the one that I would consider my first persona ever, was a bear dog hybrid named Zebra. It was during the like random XD waffles whatever phase, so zebras are super random and I liked zebras, so I just named it Zebra. It was a bear dog because I was really into wolves and dogs and stuff, but I also, something about the brother bear and the way they drew the necks and animated them really just captivated me as a child, so I'm like, it has to be a bear, and also doing stuff as like a hybrid is like a cool furry thing. I'm gonna redraw her. I actually did a redraw of some of these in 2017 just for fun for myself. So I'm looking at the 2017 redraw. Not too bad. I think it's got nice fur. I think the shape is nice. I think in 2017 I still drew pretty good. I did more-ish digital stuff, but I was leaving drawing digitally at that point. So this is actually a better reference than my first drawing, so I'm actually gonna use the 2017 reference to do this one. I don't typically do digital art as much anymore, so I don't have like a established digital style or anything, so I'm gonna kind of fudge it or whatever, and anyway, I'm just gonna start that. So I'm just gonna do kind of the blue lines and then just get the general shape down. I'm not gonna do any special poses because I have a lot to get through and drawing is already hard as it is. I don't draw digitally a ton, so whenever I go to draw digitally, I find that it's harder for me to make like stuff that looks like I drew it, if that makes sense. I feel like it's harder for me to emulate my style in digital. I feel like digital and traditional oftentimes feel like they require two totally different processes, so it's harder for me to naturally kind of draw in a way that feels authentic to me. I do digital stuff for like planning and client sort of like proposals and stuff, but I try to execute traditionally. There are artists who can do both, or they can like execute in a way in digital that looks traditional. I am not one of those, so I'm pretty rusty as far as the digital art goes. But anyway, so with this, I thought maybe going with like kind of sketchy markery thing might emulate my sketchbook style a little bit. I gave her the big paws, tried to stay with that brother bear neck, and just kind of made her a sitting bear dog, and I gave her like a cuter face. I feel like this definitely, to me, looks like an improvement as far as like having more character and being a little more fun. I feel like I know anatomy a little better than I did in 2017. So anyway, here is Zebra, my bear dog persona. She was my persona when I was like 12 or 13 or something, or 14, I don't remember. I didn't look at the dates exactly, but anyway, she was the first, and I feel like the way I drew her kind of emulates that child kind of like vibe or like innocence or whatever from when I was a little kid. Anyway, moving on, my next persona is Elly. If you remember from my DeviantArt video, it was a ferret kind of design dress-up game that I was playing, and I made one and I was like, wait, I love this design, I'm gonna make this my persona, and then I just added some stuff to it. Horrific design choices, horrible background. Not sure why I picked seagull, I think just because it had wings, so I'm like, I'm gonna pick the bird and it's a seagull. Added some neon green embellishments there. There's like, in this reference, I have like purple and blue on here, but I don't see any purple and blue, so I'm not sure where I thought that was at. I drew this kind of like Lion King almost, like the ears and stuff, and the paws. I definitely was like emulating Disney Lion King style. And then I redrew it in 2017, which looked much better than that reference, but it's very obvious in 2017, I didn't understand how ferret faces work, so the muzzle looks fucked to me. The body's okay, but the belly is very dog-like. It definitely has like a rib cage situation, but it's not terrible. It's definitely still fine. With some of these, as I would have a reference and then I would draw them in like real time, the designs would change a little bit because I feel like I always start with a design and realize some of the choices are really obnoxious to redraw. So in this redraw, which I probably was referencing at the time, a more recent artwork. So the wings are all white. I had added green hair. I think I got rid of the green on the tail because it was just a pain to draw, and the paw pads are green. So I'm gonna use the 2017 reference because I'm almost certain this is more accurate to how like the design ended before I switched personas. So redrawing this one, I'm actually going to reference a photo of a ferret to get the face and the body right. I'm definitely making the muzzle a little more cutesy and fat than maybe looks accurate, but it still looks more mustelid than it did before. I'm also actually gonna draw the nose the way they're meant to be drawn instead of like the weird, I just didn't understand how a ferret nose worked back then. I'm gonna keep the long green hair thing. I'm gonna keep most of these designs the way they're supposed to be with maybe some minor tweaks based on whatever. And she had edgy, spiky collars and cuffs because that was like I was becoming a teenager and I really liked emo stuff. So I was like, oh, this is cool and edgy and the green hair is awesome. I was listening to more like MCR and stuff. So I was like, I want to be cool, which in real life I was not cool at all. And I wasn't allowed to dye my hair or do anything like that. So this was my way to be cool. Just sticking with the colors. I'm not gonna color pick off of anything because I feel like choosing new colors based off of my own design sense is kind of what makes it look nicer. I feel like my color choices now, or like my sense of color, is a lot better than it used to be. So any like gray I use will always be like based in like either a blue or a purple or a red based on kind of like the shade I want to go with. So, and we're also gonna do the wings a little more dynamic and just color a little bit stylized. But this was my fursona before I got really sad, basically. But we were still feeling edgy. So this is Elly. I don't know why I named her Elly. I feel like I just liked the name Elly at the time. I think she's way cuter in this. Definitely an improvement. Very scene, very cool, very emo. I think kid me would be stoked if someone drew this for me. Moving on, my next fursona was also named Elly. She was a Belgian Malinois because my dad had a Belgian Malinois at the time and I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I'd never heard of a dog like that. It was like a German Shepherd but like cooler. So I chose a Belgian Malinois. This is when I started adding in the like hospital plus sign cross thing, which you'll see a lot, and also adding like a chipped ear that I kept for like a very, very long time. So this is my fursona that I started drawing more moody art with. I was getting more, my depression was blossoming. So I did a lot of my depression art with this one. The only like reference photo I could find from when I first designed her is horrific. In my 2017 redraw, it's way better. I think this image is still good. I obviously have a better sense of how a dog looks than a ferret, so the anatomy looks nicer and the pose and everything's nice, so I'm just gonna reference this instead of the crappy whatever age I was, 15 at the time, or I think I was 14 actually. So whatever 14-year-old me was drawing or cooking was not good. Anyway, moving on. Again, just doing like the lines. I think I'm gonna do a slightly different pose just to mix it up. I'm gonna have her facing kind of away because she was more of a serious fursona. She never was like very, like I don't think I have any like happy drawings of her, like anything fun. It was always like sad. I also had this like cringy habit of I would make drawings and then I would post the entire song lyric of whatever song I was thinking of in the descriptions. So she had a lot of emo, moody song lyrics. I remember one time a friend made fun of me because she followed me on DeviantArt and then I deleted the description of it and pretended like it never happened. But I liked the drawing, so I kept the drawing up. But anyway. So I also wanted to have her face away so I could do the little cross plus signs on the ear here because I was still very Christian as a kid. I had not yet been atheist pilled yet, so very Christian. I had like, it was a mixture of either like it'd be a hospital plus sign because I thought that was cool imagery for some reason, or it would be a cross because of how Christian I was. So yeah, I'm just gonna do some like color embellishments. This was like a very desaturated, just kind of sad fursona for me. So yeah, that's her. Also, another through line of my fursonas is I kept giving them like spiky collars with a jingle bell. I thought that was like really cool. I still like jingle bell collars actually as like a concept. But yeah, that's another thing that kind of persists, and green eyes usually. So that is Elly 2.0. I had her for quite a while. I think too, just like the basicness of this design, it was easier for me to draw, so that's why I probably stuck with it for so long. And I think it also reflected the like sadness of the time of just very muted dark colors and things like that. Moving on to bigger, better things. Actually, I wouldn't say bigger or better, probably smaller and worse. We have probably one of the cringier fursonas. I think we start getting to like more, I mean, it's all cringe, but this is like more like me trying to be weird and have like my, like making your own species at the time was cool. So I was like, I'm gonna do like a mashup of all my favorite animals. I really liked bats and I liked foxes, but I'm like, what if it had alien aspects to it? I kept saying as a kid I really liked butterflies, but I'm like, I never drew butterflies or did anything with butterflies or had anything with butterflies, so I don't know why I said I liked butterflies so much. So that is the made-up creature that is Lepidoptera, which I'm just gonna call Lepi. She is a disgusting bat fox creature. On this reference sheet, it says she has a chameleon cheek. I don't know what that is. I don't think I ever utilized that aspect. I think it was maybe like you can have the cheek be any color. Gotta have the obnoxious amount of toes and gross tongue detail. This tail is disgusting. I don't know why I ever drew that or thought that was a good idea. I think I just wanted it to be like a unique thing that no one else was doing. And of course we have our cross symbolism. This is more of a hospital-esque symbolism. And then you have the chipped ear and all that. So anyway, let's get into it. I redrew this one in 2017 and left out some details. This is probably more accurate to like, again, as I draw fursonas and whatever. As time goes on, I would lose details because I'd be drawing them so much and I would just stop adding things that were just a hindrance or an annoyance. So this one's more plain. I'm gonna try and stick to the reference sheet of the old one for fun. So this actually started probably right after the Ferret Elly. I would make everything super skinny with like really big ears and mane. So that's part of this. So anyway, we're gonna do lines. This one's white, so it's not gonna have too much actual color, but I'm gonna add some like interesting shades or whatever to give it some intrigue. Of course, we got the chip in the ear, and I added the disgusting tail back there, and I made her tongue sticking out because that was like a point in the reference sheet of like, she has a sticky, gross tongue. I think I liked the idea of like, oh, she's an insect eater, so she has like a sticky, long tongue, and her spit is green because kids pick random details to like highlight. So I did that and then add the cross on the face, and from this angle you can't really see the crosses on the ears, so I'm just gonna add like a little red thing to insinuate that you might see it. So just adding the details. This one I also drew with a lot of song lyrics and a lot of depression art. I think I tried to do some happy art with this one, but it never felt very genuine. I think this is like kind of from here on out, there's not really any instance of like happy art in general. I don't think I started doing happy art until like maybe after college, honestly. It just never felt very natural to draw smiley, happy things, but I feel like now I'm more inclined to do cute things and less edgy, and yeah, it's whatever. We all go through phases. So there's Lepi. My next fursona is kind of like a slow decline back into something more normal, but keeping kind of the same vein of the idea. And this is one named Papillon, which is French because I was learning French at the time, and it's French for butterfly. So Papillon actually started out, it's a fennec fox, so it has still the big ear or whatever, same kind of shape as Lepi. And I had the first coloring iteration as like, I was really into Lucky Cats because I had this, I think it was Bring Me the Horizon shirt that had a Lucky Cat on it that had like this big red dot on its stomach, and I was like, this is the coolest design ever. So I wanted to like kind of put the aspects of that design into here. and it's this very edgy kind of emo two-eyed thing. But I already redrew that in 2017, but I didn't redraw the more like, this was the emo version, and then I did a recolor of it, or a slight redesign. I was moving into my like hipster phase, where I was more into autumn and badgers and apples and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do the hipster one, which is also just Papillon, but just recolored. So yeah, it's basically a similar shape, kind of like a tiny little Chihuahua-esque fox thing. I think the color scheme was okay. I was really into like yellows and oranges at this time. And this is like the era that I was getting into like the Ready set and stuff, and like more electronic emo, like Nicosaur, and just anything that was like Hello Goodbye, like that kind of feeling. And then I was also kind of starting to discover indie music like Fleet Foxes and Bon Iver. So definitely getting more autumn tones and getting more like naturalistic again versus like the neon colors and the made up animals and stuff. So yeah, and then I also like was into like the big fluffy tail thing for a minute, which is a lot nicer than the gross, like, I don't even know what you'd call that tail, like finger tail. Yeah, we got into that. We got into like some cuter music. I think at this time I was like kind of embarrassed about like my emo music, like the Used or MCR I'd like listened to in private, and then my cool music was like stuff like Bon Iver and Fleet Foxes or Dry the River. So yeah, here's Lepidoptera. We've got the hospital crosses on the ears because I don't know, I had an obsession with it. At the time, I really thought I was gonna be a doctor or a nurse or something, which not really, I didn't really want to be a nurse, but I wanted to be more of a doctor. I was really interested in medical stuff, but that didn't happen. So yeah, here is Papillon. We're now moving into older me. I think I was a senior, it was like a junior to senior year of high school that I remember making this one. This is Holly. We're getting back into like, this is still my hipster autumnal kind of vibe, but it's still a weird species because I'm like, oh, I want to be a species no one else is. So this is a royal antelope. It's the smallest antelope species in the world. I don't even know how I found this animal. I think I just came across it. I'm like, that's so cute. That's so me. The reference sheet for this is horrendous. I don't know what that background is. And my handwriting is atrocious. It's like I didn't even care. But yeah, we've got the crosses on the ears still, which why not? I actually think the red and the bluish gray together is kind of cool. And then just like this insane marking pattern design that I remember vividly struggling to do every single time I was trying to draw. And also the curls and the hair and stuff were very like dainty and whatever. This is just like one of my more obnoxious ones to draw, even though it doesn't look that obnoxious. This is also so bad. Like that eye is like, I think I was discovering like lighting and I only used it in eyeballs. So anyway, I redrew this in 2017 and it doesn't look that great redrawn even then. It's like a Bambi-ish cutesy kind of Disney version. I think I edited the markings because I realized how obnoxious they were, so I simplified it even here. I don't really like how I redrew it in 2017, so we're going to just use the original reference sheet and redraw it from my own perspective. So I'm gonna actually reference, like I did with the ferret and actual royal antelope. I feel like I need to bring elements of those species in to make them more interesting and whatever. And I'm still going to add aspects of like the curly fur and the hair. I was really into like big hair for my personas, even though I had like short, dumb hair. And then we had the ear chip, and I'm gonna make, yeah, so the body is like really round. You can tell even in my original reference sheet, I was trying to emulate the like posture and anatomy of a royal antelope, but I just was not getting it. And the markings, I'm gonna edit just a little bit to make a little more sense, because even with the reference sheet, I'm like, I don't know, I don't like it. This makes more sense. It's still not like super easy to draw, but yeah, we're gonna add like that bluish gray, maybe push a little bit of the blue in the shading, but in the whites, we're gonna make more of a cream, so it's less blinding to our eyes. This tail looks disgusting. I don't know why I insisted on like the upward curl on this tail, but it is what it is. And yeah, just go through like we did before after the shading and do the embellishments. This fursona lasted maybe like a year or a year and a half. I think it lasted like, I want to say like till I went to college, and then immediately I changed it after that. Yeah, so this is Holly. She was cute, but difficult to draw, and it made no sense why I was a royal antelope. I feel like so far none of these have really represented anything relevant to me. I feel like at the time I was just like, how do I design something really cool? Which I think like being a furry, which to be fair, it's like I was kind of a furry light. I didn't really do anthropomorphic stuff which we're gonna get there. It was mostly like quadrupedal animals, and it was mostly just like them in an empty space or whatever with some like lyrics. But I feel like it helped me learn how to design, and it also helped me like draw their animals, and it was a way for me to interact with people online since I didn't have a ton of real life friends. So it was like, here's a community where if I just draw some animals, I might be able to interact with somebody. And there's always like trends of designs and stuff too, so like seeing what other people are doing could like inspire you, but I also feel like it kind of just developed a practice for me of just drawing constantly, because it's like you always want to like post to keep up with, you know, the friends you want to make online. So the more you post and like draw other people's stuff and whatever. So I think it just helped me actually learn how to draw, even though there wasn't like any significant improvement until I went to college. Because also I just don't think my brain had hardened yet. Anyway, here's Holly. She is done. I think this is the best I've ever drawn her. She's very cute, very weird, very pill-shaped. Now we're getting into college. I think I was like still drawing furry stuff up until junior year of college. And then I think I tapered off, I think actually senior year. It was senior year, maybe even a year after college, I was still drawing some furry stuff. But for the most part, I wasn't really posting on sites anymore like Tumblr or Fur Affinity. It was mostly just for me, because at that time I was actually drawing more traditional art and trying to have like an actual art practice. So the fursona stuff was more for me still to draw, and then it kind of tapered out from there just because it wasn't serving a purpose anymore. Yeah, so the next fursona I had, we're starting to get into my first like exclusively anthropomorphic fursona, which again, I go back to crazy species for some reason. So we have, I think I called it Bug. I don't even remember really what I called it, but I'm just gonna go with Bug because I remember my username had the word bug in it, so I'm just gonna assume I called this Bug. But it was like a unicorn fox that had like pink cheeks and stuff, and it had like a whole mouth that was pink, but it was really ugly, so I changed it. So this is an example of like later art where I like changed things to fit the ease of drawing it in practice. So we are going to draw her, Bug. And I'm just gonna do a chibi because I don't feel like drawing a whole anthropomorphic creature right now. I'm kind of tired from drawing all of those other ones. So Bug was just a unicorn fox. I was in college during this time. I think I just wanted a unique species. If I was posting at all, it was probably on Tumblr when it was still kind of alive. And I just really liked pink and muted browns and stuff at the time. So that was her design. And I think I was getting more into like girly stuff again. I think I was just kind of like realizing more about who I was, even though this design was like so obnoxious and stupid. But yeah, I would draw her mostly as an anthro, and then I think sometimes I would do like quadruped style animal versions of her, but for the most part, she was the first one where I was like drawing more anthro. I think just more because I was more comfortable drawing like human forms, which I'd been drawing human forms before, but I think I just didn't like it yet. And I think I was becoming more comfortable with it because I had been taking figure drawing classes, and just like the artists I were around were all human artists for the most part. So, you know, and it's just like quadruped, it just kind of gone out of style for me. I think I just matured beyond it. So yeah, just gonna give her a little sweater and pants. She doesn't really have any markings underneath there anyway. So here she is. This is Bug, chibi form because I'm tired, and human form is just too strenuous to draw. It takes too much thinking power. So that is Bug, and we are moving into my last fursona before I became an adult and stopped drawing furries forever. My last fursona was Leaf, who was a cat, a Scottish fold cat. She started as an American curl, but I realized it was just like too skinny and like the ears were too difficult and annoying to draw, and I just didn't like it anymore, and I was moving more into a phase where I wanted to draw cute stuff. So Leaf started as this like skinny-tailed character with like rigid ears that I drew a lot of really depressing stuff to. I vented a lot of my whatever life frustrations through this character. And then as I kind of developed more as a person, I liked cuter things and I liked more chibi things. So she turned into a Scottish fold with like floppy ears and rounder features and a thicker tail. And I feel like that's kind of stuck today, is like as far as what I like is more rounder, cuter things. And the markings are super simple. Again, it's another anthro, so like for the most part, body markings weren't super important because they were wearing clothes for the most part. And I feel like at the time, I was a more minimalistic person. So that is Leaf. She was my last fursona. And I'm just gonna draw her as a chibi because, like a super chibi, because I am trying to draw her and it's just I'm not feeling it. I haven't drawn her in a long time, and I feel like because she was my last one, I was better at drawing at that point. So there's not like that big of a ceiling to like go beyond that. So I'm just gonna do like something silly, goofy, because I'm tired and there's not much else where to go with it. So she is silly, she have floppy ear, she have pink hair. I just started really liking the color pink in college because it's like cool, I don't know. And I had her wear a lot of basketball attire because I feel like in college, like senior year and a little after, I was really into like athletic emo wear. So I'd wear like baseball shirts and like black pants that were cuffed up with black boots and stuff. So she wore a lot of that. And yeah, I just, after a while, just stopped drawing it. I didn't need it anymore. I felt like a lot of my traditional art kind of took over the role it had. I feel like I didn't have much more to vent through this method of drawing. But yeah, here's Leaf. Didn't take that long to do her because there wasn't much there to begin with. So that's Leaf, which if you look at my channel mascot, very similar design, except it's like a little beagle, but pretty much the same idea of like just pink marking on the head and white body. So those were my fursonas. I feel like they were really good for me to have drawn when I was younger because I was very lonely and very sad and had no one to talk to. So it was great to have a way to like draw about those things and had like a community of people online, even if it was only like 1 or 2 people to kind of like post and they could like comment. And even if it was not actually talking about anything, it was still like acknowledgement for something I had done. And yeah, I just kind of matured out of it. I felt like the community and the way it is today just isn't something I'm interested in. There's a lot of stupid drama and tit for tat, and you have to like walk on eggshells a lot of the time because I feel like now it's so vicious. And also I'm just not, again, I think it's just maturing in general. I'm just not interested in like drawing, and I don't draw digitally much anymore, and that's predominantly what furry art is drawn as. And I was more interested in creating art that people would pay me and hire me for in a real world sense instead of just a private commissioner, which I don't mind private commissioners, but at the same time, I want like a newspaper to hire me or a book publisher to hire me, and I feel like that would give me more fulfillment now as a mature adult. And that's not to say if you do furry art, you're not an important artist. Like there's plenty of really, really talented furry artists who are probably way better at drawing. No, not even probably, they are way better at drawing than me, and they make probably way more money than I do. There's like, furry art's just crazy. So I'm not saying it's not good, I'm just saying for me, it doesn't fill the need it had. I feel like the purpose I started with, it completed itself in a circle, and I've moved on to different things, and I began to pay a therapist instead of buying more Wacom bamboo tablets. Okay, there it is, those are my fursonas. Yes, I was a furry, I moved on, I never got a suit. It looks really expensive and hot and sweaty, and I have a lot of social anxiety, so even in a suit, I I'd probably just go home, if I'm being honest. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed getting to cringe at the old reference sheets. I hope you enjoyed getting to judge me for something I was in my past, and you probably are gonna judge me for ever having done it in general, and that's okay. Also, obligatory Rocky Tax. His persona is a cat. Goodbye. Oh, he doesn't, he's like just falling backwards to escape. Goodbye.